it's time to do a kind of an update to the fantasy gaming draft, which has been running since I think it's February we started doing it. Essentially, for those that don't know, Mr. Lapdog and Mr. Hall are the captains of two teams made up of Dimp Digital crew members. So on Lapper's team, which is called the Marvellous Thunderbuzzers, you've got myself, Logan and Paper. And then on Hall's Team Achievement, or Team Achievement, I can't remember if we've got an S on it now, you've got Adkins, Chappers, Biff, and Hall is the captain. Captains had 4 picks. The rest was made up by the team picks. I won't bother explaining the rules again. I can't be asked. Just go back and listen to the podcast and you'll find out what the rules are. But essentially, it's 2v2, 10 games v 10 games. And we're going to do a little check-up. Q1 is in the books. And we're going to go through some of the review scores that have been locked in and see how the teams are doing. So let's start with you, Mr. Hall, because you had the first game pick.
I did.
So Dave sacrificed that. He had the opportunity, won the toss and said, you know what, I want the first team member. And you was like, thank you very much, I'll take the first game pick. And you went for The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. And it has come steaming in with a 97.33 on game rankings. We was expecting 90s off that, but I don't think anyone expected it to be that high. People saying this is the best game ever made.
Yeah, for a long time it was ranked as the highest game ever, wasn't it? It was
until Jim Sterling come along and gave it a 7 out of 10, and it fucking bumped it about 3 spaces down.
Everyone went fucking ballistic. I mean, it's still trending as like the second or third. I think it's dropped down to the 4th now on game rankings, which is the site that we've been using. But yeah, it's done well. Done me proud there, Super Nintendo. I mean, the game's fucking excellent.
Yeah,
there is no two ways about it. The game is fucking superb.
Yeah, I've been playing it in a limited way. I do one session a week of about 2 to 3 hours, and I've barely scratched the surface of it. But it's just a wonder to play. Very rarely in a game like that, it's an open world game, but it feels like if you wander off somewhere, chances are something exciting will happen.
Yeah,
there's not many dead ends. It rewards you for just sort of going off on your own.
Yeah, it feels like there is something to do in every corner of the map. It's just like you say, you could spend hours just kind of wandering and stumbling across people, and it doesn't feel like they're super forced side quests like you get from some open worlds. It's just kind of, it feels very natural, the flow of the game, in the way that you can kind of wander about and just pick up bits and pieces as and when you wish to.
Yeah. And I like the fact that it's not afraid to give you a cryptic side quest, i.e. there'll be a riddle about a location for perhaps where treasure is, and you have to find. It won't tell you. It won't give you a waypoint like go and find the treasure here. There's
no babysitting.
There's no babysitting. Here's the clue. Like look on the map and find that yourself, and it's really satisfying to nail one of those. So yeah, it's a very good game. Certainly one
worthy of its number one pick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, you can't say anything else for that. It's absolutely worth that.
And worthy of its 97.33. Are you all in agreement with?
I ain't finished it yet, but you know.
Yes.
Well.
Yeah.
Is it worthy of that? I don't know. We're going to come to a game. I mean, it's not technically perfect. There are a few issues with its frame rate, particularly in TV mode, and often enemies will pop in right in front of you. You kind of think, bit annoying. In terms of the game, play itself, it's brilliant, but there are other games that have had technical problems and been shit on, which we'll come on to at some point. But certainly a very high score.
No prizes for guessing what we're talking about there.
No, not indeed. Lappers, you at all jealous of this one? Because I think I remember correctly, this wasn't really a consideration for your first pick anyway.
It was up there near the top of the list, but yeah, I was toying between 2 other games for my first picks. I think I probably wouldn't have picked it anyway.
No.
So
it would have been potentially 3rd on your list.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty jealous of the score, obviously, but yeah, I think I probably wouldn't have ended up with it anyway.
No, perhaps not. Lappers, your first pick was Red Dead Redemption 2, scheduled to come out fall of 2017. There were rumours circulating that it was going to be part of the Scorpio reveal that came out from Digital Foundry. That had that running on it, but not to be seen. In Rockstar we trust to deliver a good game, but not deliver it on time necessarily. Hall's second pick was Cuphead. No word on that. scheduled for 2017. I know Hall's worried about it. He never heard of it before, but hopefully that will come. You then come to me, that was your first pick, so there's a lot of pressure on my shoulders. And I did the sensible thing and got you Mass Effect Andromeda secured, only to have egg on my face because it has been fucking lambasted by the critics due to its buggy nature. Can't hide my disappointment for this one. I thought it was a lock. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what I expected you to put on your list, and one of the reasons I picked you first, I thought we'd have Red Dead Redemption in slot number 1 and Mass Effect in slot number 2, and that would be a great start. And it's let us down, isn't it?
It feels like it's suffered. I feel like the reviews that are coming in are somewhat unjustified given the limitations that the game has had. I don't feel like, I mean, currently on the PS4, it's sitting at just under 70%.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I haven't played it, but I have seen my brother's played quite a lot of it, and he is the world's biggest Mass Effect fan. I mean, he was creaming himself over the Andromeda release trailers and all the videos and everything that were coming out for it.
Oh, they look so good though.
And he has come out and said it's a very good game. It's not Mass Effect standard, but he would have given it an 8.5 out of 10. Which, coming from him, I mean, that shocked me a little bit, to be honest. But I would have, I don't know. I just felt like it's been, given what I've seen of it, I still think it looks like a great game. And yes, the facial features and animations and bits of the, I feel like people have just gone, well, that's unacceptable, and slashed it. Whereas, like you say, The Legend of Zelda has got some serious frame rate issues at points.
Yeah.
It really has. And it's kind of walked away scot-free almost.
Yeah, I've played a lot of Andromeda, and I completely understand what people are saying. The eyes looked funny. They've updated them with the shaders
I was going to say they've patched it, haven't they? Bit too late.
Yeah, a bit too late for that, and there are problems. There's nothing in there though that's really horribly bad. It's just a accumulation of small little shitty things. Like you'll be riding around in the Nomad, which is like the vehicle that you use on the planets, and like the mountain next to you, like the texture won't be there. It'll just be like a blank screen, then it'll shatter, and then it'll just suddenly appear. And you think, oh, why is it doing that? And a couple of times I've just been driving, and it'll suddenly just stop whilst it's loading like the terrain in front of me, and then let me carry on going. But it's annoying because in other ways it pushes the series forward in quite a lot of ways. In terms of the combat, easily the best it's been. I don't particularly like the cover mechanic, but other than that, I've got no complaints. It's definitely an upgrade. And it's been the weight of the previous games, I think, have hurt this. Like everyone was expecting 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 jobby.
Yeah.
And because it's now coming a little bit below that, it's been given the opposite to what a Zelda game normally gets a little bump, would say. You know, it's got the Zelda title. This one, because it's fallen below expectations, it's actually been punished slightly heavier.
Yeah.
And I don't see, like, if you see a 69% game on game rankings, typically you think, well, I'm not even bother playing that. That can't be worth playing because
It's not getting a look in, yeah.
A lot of the time, games are on a 7-point scale. It's really 7 to 10 that people are scoring these days. Very rarely do things drop below that. They use,
Unless
7
it's garbage, yeah.
Bang average, and like anything below that's crap. And it's not. That's not the case with Andromeda. Yes, it's got some technical issues, but a game of this scope, I defy any game not to come out and have some sort of technical problem with it. I just feel like there's just a bit too much of it. It's a little bit too inconsistent. But I'm enjoying it. I've played 30 hours now. I think I'm 25% through it. I mean,
that's a testament in itself that you've managed to put 30 hours into it despite these bits and pieces. So,
well, I'm one of those people
where
there. I'll play through things like that. It doesn't bother me too much. As long as the game's not inherently broken, which it isn't, it's just not been polished. It's quite evident that they needed this to come out before the end of the financial year. Mass Effect's been picking up a lot of steam since 2 and 3 in particular. And EA went, well, you've had 5 years to do it. It's coming out at the end of March. We want that on our finance sheet, and it's cost them a little bit, in terms of that. But I still think people like me have gone out and bought it. It just means now going forward that the story from Andromeda is already written. Like people will say it's a shit game, it's not technically good enough, And then any future game, there's always going to be that question: well, will it be finished? Will it be technically sound? And that's something that you never had to consider before with Mass Effect before. Although they weren't the most technically proficient games, they weren't, in this state, which is in some cases quite bad. But I can work through it. I can work through most things. The gameplay's good enough, so it's a bit annoying. Perhaps I'd been better off I'd waited until it's been patched fully, because I've no doubt once it's patched fully, it's going to be excellent. But I am where I am with it, and I have to continue with it. So that ends up with 72.79. Disappointing. I'm disappointed. I'm sure, Hall, you're laughing at that, going, "Oh, one of the big guns has fallen," because 72.79 is not high enough for a number 2 pick in my view.
The thing is with that, Dave knows full well I would have picked that as my.
Yeah.
That would have been my. That was whichever one he didn't pick. It was like that was going to be my next pick. So that's just bad luck, unfortunately.
If Cuphead comes in at 72.79, then Adkins has got a lot to answer for.
He has indeed.
Whereas I think Mass Effect, I'll get away with it because I think everyone was going to have that somewhere on their list high
Absolutely.
up.
There's no one that looked at that and went 70%. Everyone was like, it's at the very worst. That was a banker for sort of high 80s.
Yeah, that'd have been bad, but nope.
Yeah,
That's come.
Nope.
That is unfortunate. Chappers. Who's your next pick at number 3? Pyre, that's not out. Logan for... I'm going to skip through all the ones that aren't out, but essentially the teams are... You've got Pyre, Uncharted Lost Legacy, NBA 2K18, and Prey and Tekken 7 on Hall's team that haven't come out. So Dave's got FIFA 18, Mario Kart Deluxe, Call of Duty, Splatoon 2, South Park The Fractured Butthole, that next game, and then the others that have come out. So let's have a look at Sir Dave's number 5 pick, which was done by me. We talked about earlier, Persona 5. Neither of you have heard from it, but it gets a 95.24.
Redeemed yourself, haven't you, with that one? You got to be happy with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, that is a scorcher if I do say so myself. Straight out the bins. Was you pleased to see that? Would you expect it to be that high? Because I know you was like, well, what the hell is that?
Yeah, I mean, I did a bit of Googling on the previous ones, and yeah, they seem to score quite well as well, so I thought it would come in all right. 95's a massive score, yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be that high.
No. Hall jealous?
Yeah, it was. It's a good shout, but we always knew that the thing is, like, you were always going to have some decent research. Like Logan played safe this year because he got a bit caught out last year with picking Andromeda. And like yourself, you were always going to take a bit more of a research into it and a bit more of a risk. But yeah, I'd like to say I'd never heard of it, so tip my cap to you, sir, because I was not ever going to be on my list of games when I picked out my initial 25 odds to narrow down to this 10. So
yeah, I look on all the other people's lists. Persona 5 was not on there, so it wouldn't have even featured had I not put it on there. And to squash a rumour that was circulating about last year's draft, which I won, which was between me, Hall and Logan, the general consensus was Logan had a very good team, and that if Andromeda had come out, he would have won. He would have won the championship, because Mass Effect Andromeda got high 80s at worst. It would have been 90s. But no, if we actually insert Logan's score into last year's one, he would have been 12 points off me, so I still would have won. So to just squash that dirty rumour that's been circulating. I've had that hanging over my head for months. Or if Logan had got it in, he would have won. Nope. Blown
put that to bed immediately.
One champion. Hall, Halo Wars 2. This is one of your picks, so we can actually move into some of the stuff that you had actual control over to a certain extent. Safety pick. We knew it was coming out in Q1. 78.11. Happy with that? It's nearly 80. It's decent enough.
Yeah, I mean, basically my plan was get a few on the board, make sure that the ones that I'm picking make sure at least all of my picks come out this year. I don't want to be the one that scores a bagel for my team, effectively. Yeah. So all 4 of my picks from this year have already come out, are already released. It's done all right. It was never going to break records for being a 95 plus game. I was hoping for maybe a little bit higher, considering it had quite good preview scores. It looked like it was going to do very, very well at one point. But, anything in between, in the high 70s, low 80s, I can't be too displeased with. It was number 8 on my team's list in the end. So, yeah, pretty pleased with that, all things considered.
Absolutely. So, Dave, you had For Honor, which is out. You actually went out and bought this game.
I did.
So you backed it in every way of the word.
Yeah, then I sold it.
Oh, wow! I didn't expect you to say you'd sold it. I thought you'd say, well, it's there, and then when they fix the servers, and well, hang on. Before we do the score, why has it been? Why has For Honor been sold? This feels like a bigger story than it should be.
Well, I'll backtrack a little there. I think it's a great game, really great
Okay.
gameplay. It just lacks the longevity, really. And as you guys know, I've had issues with the servers. Like the matchmaking's atrocious. It's sort of a 50-50 chance
Yeah.
whether you'll get in a game and stay in a game. And so I thought
Right.
I'll get rid of that now while it's still got some value. I could also see the player count in various activities in the game starting to drop.
Him.
So I thought, get rid of that. If it comes back around on some Xbox Gold or whatever deal, then I might pick it back up. But I'd sort of had my fill of it for the time being and thought, yeah, get rid of it for now.
You didn't finish the campaign.
I didn't. I really
Come
bought it for the
on.
online anyway, so
I know.
I wasn't that into the campaign. I played through one of the factions' stories, and it was fairly entertaining. But I was really only doing that because I couldn't connect to play online.
Was it that bad then? Sometimes the connection.
Yeah, I mean, I've said 50-50, and that's no exaggeration. You'd
Right.
you'd
Yeah.
start to connect to a game and it would fail, or you'd get into a game and it would fail, and 50% of the time you might manage to stick it out to the end, and that it just wasn't really good enough. Especially if you'd invested 10 minutes into a match and got kicked
Yeah.
right at the end to get nothing
Yeah.
for your efforts. So they needed
That
to
is
sort that out.
That is upsetting. Well, it scored a 76.58, so it didn't break the 80s.
Yeah, a little lower than I was expecting, but
Right.
decent enough score, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean it'll do, wouldn't it? I thought it would be a bit higher because it's just such a unique game, but
And it was well
Seemed-
received with the trailers and the gameplay at the previous conventions and stuff, so I thought it was going
all
to
the
come out and be a
betas, the
really
alphas
strong.
they did, people, yeah, had a lot of good stuff going for it. But yeah, 76.58. Hall, you've then got, I mean, this, I don't want to say this before the event's over, but perhaps the pick of the championship, number 9, you managed to snag Horizon Zero Dawn, which
Yeah.
comes in at an 88.8, Sony exclusive, terrific work. I would imagine that exceeded your expectations.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those ones that, I mean, as we mentioned in the original gaming draft, we had our worries about Guerrilla Games and whether they had the
Yeah.
capability of creating an open world game that was going to work and was going to be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's performed well. Generally, from people that have played it, for the most part, seem pretty happy with it. There's obviously bits and pieces that I think people would change about it. I haven't played it myself again, so it's difficult for me to comment from first hand. But I know obviously you've played it and seemingly quite enjoyed the game with what it had.
Super game, yeah. Really impressed with Guerrilla Games there. Done, breathed some fresh air into a genre which is sometimes can be long in the tooth. An open world game, 30-40 hour commitment minimum. And you think, well, if this hasn't got the gameplay, it's going to be annoying for the best part of it. But they've nailed it. Really impressed with it. I'm glad that I picked that up early doors and managed to get through that before the Legend of Zelda and Andromeda come out. But definitely highlight of the year for me so far.
Yeah.
And,
That one was on my list as well. I didn't think it would do as well as it has done. I thought it'd be about a late 70s sort of 80s game.
yeah.
But it was on my list, so he's pinched a good in there.
Oh, so it was gonna. So what you're saying on your 9 or 10 that might have appeared on yours?
Yeah, I had
given
For
the
Honor,
opportunity.
South Park, and Horizon Zero Dawn would have been my 3.
Yeah. But no, snatched away from you. That's a valuable one to get late on because you'd hope the others above it would score better, but that's probably going to be in the bottom half of the draw. That's going to be the best scoring game.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Unless that next game does appear and it turns out to be another stunner from those guys.
Yeah.
Number 10, Hall. Again, you knew this was coming out in Q1. Ukulele. Out of all the games that have come out so far, and looking at the scores and whatnot, you got Andromeda. We talked about that. Fine. I think this one hurt my heart the most, seeing it struggle and get a 72.13. I really was expecting mid 80s, perhaps even higher. I was thinking it's going to be a great big comeback for some of the guys that had left Rare and set up their own venture, and they're going to bring back some nostalgia of Banjo-Kazooie, and it appears as though that's not been the case here with Ukulele.
Yeah. Disappointing. It's a game that I'll get.
All right.
Which is which is strange given that it's obviously reviewed considerably lower than Horizon, Halo Wars, like all these ones that we've mentioned that I've got, Persona 5, For Honor. I'm not interested in any of them really. It's the lowest performing out of all of them, but it's probably the one that I'm most likely to buy myself, which kind of tells you a bit more about me as a gamer.
Prick, yeah.
Like you say, I was desperate for it to do well, bring back some of the Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong Country team, and relive a bit of nostalgia. But alas, it's not to be. Seemingly, I've tried to not read up. I've not read up loads about the reviews purely because I don't want. I want to go into the game with an open mind when I do come to play it. I don't want people's naysaying to kind of put me off of it, because I think I'll enjoy it because it's the typical kind of platforming game that I do like, kind of child friendly almost, nothing too serious. So bit disappointing, but as a number 10 pick, it's still broken the 70 mark, which is really the main kind of aim with all my releases. If I can average at sort of 75 to 80, then I think I'll be in good shape. But we'll have to wait and see, don't we? It really depends on some of the other releases. So it was always going to be a bit of a filler game though, in at number 10 for me. So
yeah. I mean, it's a shame that, but shit happens, and I'll probably end up skipping over it now, because there's others that I want to play that are looking in better shape.
That's disappointing.
I mean, that's the way of the game, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate. There is just a lot going on, but you never know. It's on Switch, which does help its cause, because I do like the idea of picking up a few games for that, just so I've got something to play on it for one. I've been Zelda, and that you can take it with you and play it on the go. That's definitely an option. But yeah, so that's the 4 games that you've had out: Zelda, Halo Wars 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, Yooka-Laylee. That gives you a total score of 336.37 and an average of 84.9. Of the games you've got left, any concerns there? Uncharted: The Lost Legacy has now got a release date, August 22nd, so that's coming this year unless something goes disastrously wrong. Have you got any worries about the non-release games on there? Not necessarily about the reception, or perhaps you've seen stuff, but more about whether they're going to definitely land in 2017.
Yeah, so I was talking about this the other day actually with someone, and I mean, Cuphead is still a bit of an unknown quantity. It should come out this year, because I think it was delayed from last year into this year.
It's been delayed about 8. Yeah, it's absurd.
But yeah, any delay screams panic. So yeah, I'm not sort of not feeling super comfortable about that. Pyre still hasn't got a release date.
No, I was expecting to see that by now.
I would have thought they would have. I think they sent out a thing because it was partially backed, I believe.
Yes.
But they sent out a thing not long ago, and there was no mention of release date or anything like that, which is again, like I say, not the best of news. Otherwise, I think Uncharted, obviously, like we say, is coming out. NBA 2K18 will come out. Prey, I think, will come out. And Tekken 7 should do. So, it's really those two, which were both a bit of an unknown quantity coming into it. So we'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be close. I'm hoping that if one of mine doesn't come out, at least one of Dave's won't come out as well.
Well, we move on to Dave, and we had 3 games out: Mass Effect, Persona, For Honor. 244.61, so obviously 1 game less than Hall's, that's why the score is that big. An average of 81.53, so the averages are quite close, so room for a close season. But I've vocalised my concerns, Dave, being on this team, with the fact that Red Dead Redemption's there, Rockstar's famous for delaying their games, and that next game, which I still can't find any update on what's going on with that game. And I'll tell you what concerns me more now: South Park, The Fractured But Whole. Do you know why?
Yeah, that got delayed, didn't it?
It got delayed.
Yeah.
They've pushed it back. They haven't given it a release date. Release date removed, and PSN has refunded all digital pre-orders. What's going on?
I didn't know that. I saw they pushed it back, and but they were still saying it would come out between sort of the summer and Q1 of 2018. So there was still a fair chunk that could release in 2017. But yeah, it's not looking good for that game.
I've never seen much. I've never heard that before, where they they refund a digital pre-order. Because it almost seemed like it was ready to go. They even, if you pre-ordered, you got access to the Stick of Truth. Is it Stick of Truth they called the first one?
Yeah, first
you
one.
had you would get access to that. So that's now been removed as well. I don't know what's gone on there. Very bizarre. They got to a stage where they were happy to do the pre-release or pre-order incentive, and then PSN have come along and refunded all the pre-orders.
It's a concern.
Worrying times to be on the Marvellous Thunderbuzzards. Is there anything you can do to soothe my worries and that of your team who are no doubt listening, thinking we need some strong leadership here?
No, it's an utter disaster, isn't it, Apps? Yeah,
Confidence is key.
To be fair, I've lost the hearts and minds of the team already, I think. It's basically just me versus you all.
Oh, God. Red Dead, maybe. I just still think...
I think Red Dead will come out.
Yeah, I think that'll come out.
There was a leaked thing not long ago, wasn't there, about... it was October 3rd was the leaked release date, supposedly. So...
Yeah, that's probably out of the three that are on there that I'm worried about. I mean, FIFA 18's coming out, Mario Kart's coming out, 28th of April. We've got in that. Call of Duty's coming out. Splatoon.
There's some leaked stuff about Call of Duty as well, so I'm confident that's going to have a good score because they've gone back to World War II, which I think is going to help the series rather than doing this futuristic stuff again.
Yeah, they've got 3 developers. They should all concentrate on different time periods, I think, and go, right, you're doing World War II every 3 years. You're going to do present day, and you're going to do sci-fi. But they won't. They'll all just copy each other, and then the next Call of Duty will be World War II as well. And then we'll go for this cycle of having World War II first-person shooters for 3 years.
Until we're sick of it again, yeah.
Until we're sick to death of it. I really have to... Have you looked into that next game, Dave? That's a concern.
Well, that's now concerning. That was until you said about South Park. That was my biggest concern. The next game,
right?
Because, prior to this draft, there had been some leaked stuff on their Twitter, or not leaked stuff, but sort of some teaser stuff on their Twitter, and then it's all gone silent since then. So, yeah, I'm now a bit concerned about that one making it.
Funny that you're concerned about 2 games that you picked and none of the others that the others have picked. Usually, the point of this game was that you had to trust your team, and it looks like the team, for the most part, are going to deliver, and the captain may have fallen foul.
Yeah, I trust my team.
But you don't trust yourself?
No.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's by the sound of it, I've done what Logan did last year, and I picked games that may not come out, and he's made the safe bets there with FIFA 18 and Call of Duty, which should give us some good scores.
Yeah.
It all rests on my ones coming out.
It all rests on Cuphead and Pyre blowing it and not coming out to make it. I was toying with the idea of introducing. I mean, I won't do it this year because it weren't a part of the agreed start. But I was toying with the idea of doing for next year like a substitution or replacement system where after E3 you can remove and change games that you think aren't going to come out anymore. So something like Middle-earth: Shadow of War has been announced since we did this. And it's coming out this year as well, and that would have been a great game for someone to have to take a punt on. So maybe next year, after E3, after some more perhaps release date announcements, we'll have a session where you can have a little transfer window, maximum of anything that's already come out you can't transfer, but other things. Because what I would like it to be is 10v10. So that's for me would be the most interesting.
Should have picked better, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I know. You're right. I thought he could be trusted as a captain, but I'm not going to say that yet because it's not over.
Absolutely, you've got to have confidence.
They might shadow drop that next game, and it's fucking 11 out of 10, and then who's laughing? Anyway, gents, that's enough of this. Thanks for joining us on this session of the Dimp Digital Unplugged. Oh, it's not called that anymore. It's called Dimp Digital Unplugged. Don't expect to see these unplugged sessions occurring every week. They're just appearing when we've got something that we feel is interested to talk about. And don't expect a quarterly update on the fantasy gaming draft because, quite frankly, if only 2 more games come out in the next quarter, we're not going to sit here and talk about it until we're blue in the face. So expect some sort of update maybe towards the back end, but we'll just play it by ear and obviously let you guys know when that's coming. But everyone else, thanks for your time and ta-da.